Hi YouTube, it's Amaru, and tonight we're watching, I tested the Deadliest Ancient Weapons by Mike Shake. I actually said his name right this time. I love watching a lot of ancient weapon videos, seeing how they work, stuff like that. One of my favorite channels is actually Todd Cutler. He does a lot of medieval weapon recreations and that. So maybe someday I'll watch some of his stuff on here, but yeah. I want to see this one. Tested Deadliest Ancient Weapons. Sounds interesting. So, let's get into it.
Can a 10,000-year-old weapon generate more destructive energy than a modern firearm? And what about a 700,000-year-old knife? Can that be as sharp as a razor-sharp steel blade? This is all stuff I think about being your average unemployed friend on a Tuesday morning.
Alright. As far as the... Can it generate more power than a modern firearm? I guess one, it depends on how you define power, but also... No. I don't think so. For the other one... Can it be sharper? Absolutely. I know for a fact obsidian can be way sharper than steel. It's why there are, they do like make obsidian scalpels. Because sometimes you just need them that sharp.
Nonetheless, I wanna find out. So, I'm gonna test 3 weapons that get progressively older and measure how effective and powerful they are. And the first one is the sling.
These things are fascinating. You can kill giants with it. Allegedly.
And so,
yeah,
I want to find out how it works, what kind of energy it generates, and then test the damage against the targets. A sling is one of the oldest known projectile weapons, and Sumerian, Greek, and Roman armies all had specialized slingers.
So, what do you do for a living? Why just throw lethal rocks at people?
And even specially shape the ammo for them.
It's pretty fun.
Anyway, a sling is basically a...
So if I remember it, the Romans actually made special lead pellets for them that they would put in them. Like, I hear the sling talked up a lot for how lethal it is, but my thing is less how much damage can it do, because yeah, you can do a lot of damage by throwing rocks. My question is, how accurate can you be with it? Like, can you consistently land those shots? That's the better question.
A pouch attached to 2 cords, and the projectiles you load into the pouch can be stones, lead bullets, which are actually pretty nice because they spin in the air, stabilizing the shot, soda cans, tape.
Hey, you can basically throw anything you can fit in it.
To shoot, I gotta place the loop on one end of the sling, in the middle of the middle finger, load the projectile, and hold the other end of the sling. Now, there are many techniques you can use to shoot a sling, based on the position of your arm. And I'm not great at any of them. It takes a lot of practice, especially to get accurate.
That would probably be me trying to use a sling the first time.
Since I used one just once, especially to get accurate with it.
Yeah, to get accurate with it.
And since I used one just once before, I'm basically just improvising. But then, after practicing for a while, I'm now starting to get the timing down. And even though this camera angle doesn't give you the idea of how fast the rocks are actually flying, it's pretty clear that the energy generates, well, it's a lot.
Ooh. Wow. Nice.
To measure it, I place 2 sticks 1.3 meters apart from each other, and by shooting a projectile in between them and filming in slow motion, I can find the velocity of the projectile and also the energy from there.
Why 1.3?
I'm throwing a 107 grams rock by hand, and following my calculations, the rock is flying at about 23 meters a second, carrying an energy of 27.7 joules. Then I throw a similar sized rock, but this time using the sling. And with that, I get a speed of about 32 meters a second, with an energy of 60.1 joules. That's more than double the energy I got by just throwing the rock by hand. Now, the reason why a sling is able to generate so much more power compared to just throwing a rock is because of centripetal force. When you swing a sling, the tension in the cords and the speed of rotation generate kinetic energy. And when the sling is released, all this energy is transferred to the projectile, increasing the speed. Moreover, since the sling basically becomes an extension of your arm, it also gives you a mechanical advantage. And that's why longer slings are generally more powerful than the
That's what I meant by lever action. It's just, it's an extension of your arm. That's the way levers work, because it's just an extension multiplies your force.
Short ones. Lastly, I tried another test with a much heavier rock, and the sling still managed to throw the rock at about 24 meters a second, which converts to 95 joules. For comparison, that's almost 20% more energy than what I could get with the lethal slingshot I built a while ago. And I believe that with a
lethal
better
slingshot
and aerodynamic projectiles, it could probably get into small firearm territory. Now, what happens when
small
you hit
firearms.
stuff with it? I
Okay,
started with a
maybe.
watermelon, and of course, I missed a bunch of times.
A bunch of times. Okay.
Damaged the sawhorse, which I actually find quite impressive. But after a few more tries, I got it.
Nice. Not as cool as watching a watermelon blow up from the inside, but still nice. I mean, it's gonna be hard to top watching that one get obliterated by fireworks.
Well, I couldn't find any giant willing to test that.
Ah, come on, man. I'm sure you'll be fine.
But I found this one. This is a ballistic dummy. So the gelatin should simulate muscle tissue, and the bones? Bones. In short, the damage on this thing should be a pretty accurate representation of what would happen to someone if they got hit by a sling. First, I need to hit it though.
Yeah. First, you need to hit it.
Spoiler, it's gonna take a while. So I'm gonna just skip this process for you, and while I throw rocks at nothing for the next few hours, I wanna shout out this plate
Few
for supporting this
hours.
video.
I got these three in the shop for a while, and I think they still look great. And so I got a few ones for my house too.
I love watching movies, so this time, they're basically all about that. The first one is from Lord of the Rings.
I've thought
For me,
about getting
one
a
of the
display,
coolest
but
shots in movie history. The second one
can't
is
afford it.
Dark Knight. I posted a picture of Harvey Dent in one of my previous videos, and nobody got the reference. You gotta watch it. It's a masterpiece. And then the last one is from Dune, one of my favorite movies in recent years. The posters feel sturdy, and the clarity on the images
you know
is
that
really good.
Batman
This plate
image
also recently
implies
launched
he
this
blew
new
up a
product
building
called
just to make his
Display
logo
Texture,
out of it.
which gives extra clarity
You ever
to the
think about
images
that?
by having a sort of 3D texture on the posters. Hanging the posters is also super intuitive, and you find everything you need to do it inside the box. You just stick the protective leaf, stick the magnet to the leaf, and hang the display. And this way, you can also adjust it or move it however you like it.
My shop has pretty rough walls, but the posters are still hanging there, so I guess it works.
There are millions of artworks available in the displayed catalog, and you can pick from original
Second there, I
art
couldn't tell if
or
that was,
licensed designs such as Marvel,
meant to be
Star
Spyro
Wars,
or if it was
Elden Ring.
My Little
You
Pony.
can get them right now by going to display.com
middle one
/MikeShake or use my
doesn't
promo
help
code
that now it's blurred.
MikeShake to get a really nice discount. It's 22% off if you get 2 displays and 30% off if you get 3 or more. And I'm also leaving a link in the description if you want to check them out at the end of the video.
Anyways, after 40 minutes, I hit the first shot. And at first I thought I
You
did
hit low.
nothing to the dummy, but then I checked the slow motion footage. My goal is obviously to hit the skull. But I feel like this
Ooh.
shot is kind of impressive already. The dummy is pretty heavy, and the rock not only flipped it 90 degrees, but it also left deep cuts into the gelatin. And so I kept
Yeesh.
trying. In all that, I'm not sure if you can hear it, but there is a sort of crack when I let the sling go. And that
Well, yeah,
is
that's-
coming from the sling
the sling's
traveling
basically a
faster
whip.
than the speed of sound. It turns out a sling basically works like a whip.
That's what I just said.
When the sling is released, the kinetic energy
Nice.
built up during the swing is transferred down the length of the sling. The transfer of energy increases in speed as it moves along the sling, accelerating the tip of the sling, called cracker, till it flies faster than the speed of sound. Now, the purpose of having a cracker is to dissipate the energy and slow the sling down, so it basically doesn't come back whipping you every time you
Which is exactly why a whip
Anyways,
has one
the
too.
more I'm using it, the more I'm becoming a fan of this thing. As you can see, even if I still don't know what I'm doing, it's pretty insane
Oh,
to me
right in
what
the
a simple
throat.
piece of
Oof.
rope can do. And after about 1 hour, I finally managed to hit the skull.
Oh. Yeah, they're dead.
Oh, it cracked it.
The rock still had a lot of energy left though, and so I shot one more time.
Oh, right in the eye.
This time, I got it clean. Breaking the bones and cutting the gelatin once again. For the next weapon, we're gonna go back about 10,000 years. I'm talking about spear throwers. I found one in carbon fiber, but before checking it out, I'm mounting the spear, which kinda looks more like a long arrow than a spear. It got feathers,
a javelin,
pointy tip
technically.
on one end, and a slot on the other end, while the spear thrower has this sort of pin that locks into the slot of the spear.
Yeah, this is again
basically
another
like
lever.
this. And I'm very curious to test this, but I probably shouldn't do it in my shop. So
You
then I
did
went
it anyway.
outside.
You know, it's actually quite easy to use. I wasn't expecting it.
After just a few throws, I was already hitting the targets.
History says this was actually a big step in human evolution, because before using this, we were just throwing spears by hand.
A spear thrower works by extending the length of the thrower's arm, providing leverage that significantly increases the velocity and accuracy of the spears. So compared to just using our arms, it allowed us to increase the reach, hunt a larger game, and also be more accurate. Or at least that's the theory.
So let's test that. I'm gonna throw one spear by hand and one using this, and we're gonna see the difference. I hope you can see me. Test 1, range. First shot using my hands.
With the little sloppy
Now the
in
spear
plate.
thrower.
That's okay. Oh yeah,
Oh my. I got 22 meters
that mechanical
by hand
advantage.
and 48 meters with the spear thrower. You probably didn't even see where it landed. I'm gonna give you a better angle.
Wow.
Oh, that went further away than the last time.
So when it comes to range, a spear thrower is definitely a big step up.
I believe that's called net lateral.
64. Right now I want to test penetration and damage. And well, you already know this guy. He's just not in great shape right now. So I'm
You
gonna
don't
just use the
say.
back of the head.
He only got
Shot
hit by
one,
like a half
using
dozen
my
rocks.
hands. I don't even know if I can hit it, to be honest. Nope.
Well, after a while I actually hit it though.
I think I got it.
But the spear did basically nothing to the skull. So then I got a little bit closer and I hit it.
Ooh.
Nice. This would have hurt.
Yeah, probably would have killed.
What is happening?
Anyways, the spear got actually quite deep.
Alright. Spear thrower. Shot 1. Jeez. That's definitely different.
Basically the same spot.
Same exact spot, by the way. And the penetration was certainly higher than before. I also tried to hit the skull. It took me a while, and I broke a few spears in the process.
You broke some of
But
the spears.
interestingly, when I
Aren't
hit
those
it,
carbon
the
though?
spear snapped, bouncing
Oh,
back
geez.
towards me a little too fast for comfort. And most
Oh.
importantly, it didn't do significant damage
It
to the
snapped
skull.
like a.
Just a little dent.
It snapped like a piece of spaghetti. It's one of my favorite little phenomenons. Anytime you break a piece of spaghetti, it will always break in 3. You'll have 2 long pieces and then a little short piece in the middle that's going to snap off and go flying away from the other 2. That's basically how this just
And
snapped.
most important, bouncing back towards me a little too fast for comfort. And most
Yeah.
importantly, it didn't do significant damage to the skull. Just a little dent.
Still though, I find this quite fascinating and very, very fun to use. It's nice.
The third weapon I want to test is the oldest one of the list. And it's obsidian. Google says it's
Ah.
many times sharper than the sharpest steel blades.
Yes.
So I want to test that. I got a machine that measures exactly that.
Oh, I know
The
this
plan is
device.
to compare
There's
obsidian.
the channel Project Farm. They do a lot of like tool comparisons to see which ones outperform others. Product testing, there we go. They do a lot of comparative product testing. He uses this device all the time to test knives and knife sharpeners. If I remember it, a razor blade is like less than 50 on it.
Obsidian to 3 different steel blades.
And anything, I think 200 and lower is considered to be sharp. There's a butter knife will read like 1,000.
A utility razor blade, a shaving blade, and a chef's knife I'm gonna sharpen myself. As a reference, a high-hand kitchen knife
Oh,
should
there it
be
is, yeah.
around 300 and
Oh, there's a little off. Okay, so the utility razor blade is 200. Double-edged razor blade is 50. And then kitchen knives are around 300. Anything above 400 is in need of maintenance. And a butter knife is 2,000. Okay.
on the scale. And the utility razor blade scored 235. while a shaving razor is one of the sharpest blades you can purchase. And with that, I get a nice 35, also proving that the method I'm using is pretty accurate.
35.
Now it's time for the chef's knife. This is an old knife I bought from IKEA, and it's pretty dull. So I'm spending a while sharpening it with two different whetstones, from a medium grit to basically a polishing one, which is so fine that it doesn't even make a noise when I swipe the knife on it. It took me about 10 minutes to do it, and right now this thing should be very sharp.
How sharp is it though?
So now, as it is
Should test it before cutting the paper.
I'm measuring the actual sharpness.
35, same as a razor. Ooh.
Jeez.
I want to double check that, so I'm trying again.
50. Still as sharp as a
I
razor.
think I enjoy sharpening stuff a little too much. I'm not sure why.
Anyways, these are all the results I got with the steel blades. Now, it's time to test obsidian.
I'm
Actually,
gonna have to nap it
what
properly to
even
make
is
it sharp.
obsidian? It turns out it's a type of glass that forms when lava cools down rapidly, usually when it comes into contact with water or air. This rapid cooling prevents the formation of crystals. And in short, that's basically why it looks like that. It feels like a...
If you asked any normal person, they would say obsidian is a crystal, but technically it's not. It's an amorphous solid. Which is what makes it so sharp. Because the arrangement of the atoms inside. Because they don't form a lattice like a crystal does.
chunk of glass, and like glass, it's brittle. So, to make a knife out of obsidian, I need to start from a larger block and slowly remove material. The problem is that all the videos I watched say the same thing. You need to
Make sure to strike the obsidian in the right areas with the correct amount of force.
And if you are like me, and you're using a mouse pad to protect your leg, and a hammer to strike obsidian, that sentence doesn't make any sense. I'm still trying to do that though, hitting the right parts with the correct amount of force, which in practice turned to hitting random parts with random amount of force. And after 20 minutes, I started to get kinda frustrated. Every time I felt I was kinda getting closer, then the stones randomly snapped. I really thought I was gonna make this work, but after 1 hour, the only thing I did was turning big obsidian rocks into smaller obsidian rocks. Like a lot of them.
Yep.
I even tried grinding it.
That's not gonna work.
It didn't work. Massive respect for all the craftsmen making obsidian blades and all the Neanderthal men out there. I seriously underestimated this thing. And now that I had no more obsidian to make a knife, I thought about buying one. The problem is that I couldn't find any store in Europe that could ship an obsidian knife in time, besides this website that says obsidian scalpels.
Yeah, there you are, obsidian scalpels.
Not a scalpel, but a realization. Even though it would be cool to have one of these, big obsidian knives are not even that sharp, because they're pretty thick. That is sharp. Obsidian flakes. And luckily, I got a lot of them. As a reminder, these are the results I got with the steel blades. And now I'm gonna test this, which is obviously pretty sharp. When I tried to measure it, I only got 90. So then I got the thinnest flake I could find, but when I measured the sharpness, I got a score even higher than before, probably because the edge wasn't very clean. Then I tried with different flakes with a cleaner edge, and things went definitely better.
45.
Obsidian is very sharp, but during my tests at least,
but
I never managed to get results that are
steel.
10 times sharper than razor blades or my IKEA knife. Even when cutting paper, you feel more resistance compared to the steel blades. Still though, it's pretty cool, and I'd like to make a knife out of it.
Well, part of the reason you're going to feel more resistance than the steel blades is just, it's not going to have the same profile. The actual, like, bevel to it. That's why you put a bevel on a knife.
This one day. Next, I'm gonna make a very special sword, and then I'm gonna finally test my supersonic nerf blaster. So if you like this video, leave a like and subscribe to see when they come out. Thank you for watching.
Okay. Things went pretty much how I expected. Yeah, Lotto's really good at making you throw farther. The sling you can hit really hard with, but it's still, you gotta actually hit with it. Is the biggest issue.